When did you realize you married the wrong sibling? 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. My 4-year-old daughter woke up screaming. Not the normal crying, the kind of scream that makes your blood run cold. I ran to her room and she was burning up, 104.3 degrees on the thermometer. I shook my wife awake and said, "We need to go to the ER right now. Something's really wrong." She rolled over, pulled the blanket over her head and mumbled, "Can't you just handle it? Give her some Tylenol or something. I'm exhausted." I went back to check on my daughter and she wasn't responding anymore. Her eyes were half open, but she wasn't seeing me, wasn't reacting when I said her name. That's when I really started to panic. I called 911 and the operator told me to stay calm. The ambulance was 8 minutes out. While waiting, I did something I hadn't done before. I called my wife's twin sister, who lived 15 minutes away across town. She answered on the first ring, voice completely alert like she'd been awake. I barely got the words out, my voice cracking, before she cut me off and said, "I'm getting in the car right now. I'm on my way. Don't hang up. Stay on the line with me." My wife finally dragged herself out of bed when she heard the sirens pulling into our driveway, not to help pack a bag or grab our daughter's stuffed animal, but to peek through the curtains and complain about the flashing lights waking up the neighbors. "What are they going to think?" she kept saying. "The Johnsons are probably watching right now." I'm standing there holding our limp daughter wrapped in a blanket, and she's worried about what the neighbors think. Her sister showed up at the hospital, still in her Mickey Mouse pajamas and those ridiculous fuzzy slippers, before the ambulance even left our street. She must have gone 80 in a 45 zone. My wife rode in the ambulance with us, but spent the entire 12-minute ride on her phone texting. When I asked who was so important at 3:30 in the morning, she didn't even look up, just said, "It's my friend group chat. They're all worried about me. This is really stressful." At the ER, my wife found a chair in the corner and sat there scrolling through Instagram, occasionally sighing loudly like this was such an inconvenience for her. Meanwhile, nurses were hooking our daughter up to IVs and heart monitors. Her sister was right there next to me, one hand on my shoulder, asking the doctors questions I couldn't even think of. What's her oxygen level? Has this happened before in other kids? What are we watching for? She wrote down everything they said in her phone notes because my hands were shaking too badly to hold a pen. When they asked about allergies, I completely blanked. My brain just shut down. Her sister immediately said she's allergic to amoxicillin, broke out in hives when she was 2. I'd forgotten my own daughter's allergy, and I forgot. Around 5 a.m., after 3 hours of tests and monitoring, the doctor came back and said they wanted to keep her overnight for observation. Possible febrile seizure, they explained, and with a fever that high, they needed to watch her for at least 24 hours. My wife stood up, grabbed her purse, and said, "Well, I have a spa appointment at 10 and I prepaid $200 for it. I really can't miss this one. They have a no refund policy." Then she just left, walked out of those ER doors without even kissing our daughter goodbye, without asking if I needed anything, if I'd eaten, nothing. Her sister stayed all night and into the next day. She bought me terrible hospital vending machine coffee at 4 a.m., the kind that tastes like burnt rubber and costs $3 for a tiny cup. She helped me fill out insurance paperwork when my brain couldn't process simple questions like, "What's your home address?" She called my boss at 7 a.m. to explain I wouldn't be in. She did everything a wife is supposed to do. When our daughter finally woke up around 2 p.m. the next afternoon, confused and groggy with wires spell attached to her little arm, the first thing she said in that tiny hoarse voice was, "Where's mommy?" Her aunt didn't hesitate. She climbed right into that narrow hospital bed, careful not to disturb the IV line, and held her close. She whispered, "Mommy had to go take care of something important, sweetie, but Auntie's here and Daddy's here, and we love you so much and we're not leaving." My wife finally showed up at noon, walked in holding a grande Starbucks caramel macchiato, just one for herself, not even a small coffee for me, after I'd been awake for 34 straight hours. She glanced at her daughter, said, "Oh, good, she's finally awake," and then immediately started complaining. The spa completely messed up her appointment time, and now her manicure was ruined, and she'd have to go back next week to get it fixed. Her sister's hands were right there, next to my wife, bare nails, no polish, cuticles torn up from nervously picking at them all night while sitting in that uncomfortable plastic hospital chair. My wife's nails were perfectly done, some expensive gel design with little crystals that she said cost $85 plus tip. I just stood there, watching my daughter fall back asleep in her aunt's arms, while my wife took a selfie with her coffee cup, and it hit me like a truck. I married the wrong twin. The woman who shows up when everything falls apart isn't the one wearing my wedding ring. It's the one who's been showing up for the past 4 years, while I was too stupid and blind to notice. I filed for divorce 6 weeks later. Best decision I ever made.